Hello everybody, I'm Stephanie. Today I have a Valentine's yoga flow for you where we're going to be taking some gentle options. So for today, you're going to need a couple of pillows, a blanket, and 2 blocks, or you can use a stack of books or anything just to kind of make your arms a little bit longer. So grab those items and join me on your mat wherever you're at, and let's get started. So I love to give options with props, but a lot of times people still have this idea in their head that the use of props is a sign of weakness, and we want to go to hardcore and take the hardest thing possible, when maybe that's not the best choice. And a lot of times I've even said, let's go to the edge for your body in this posture. Today, we're bringing a little bit more love into our flow and our time together, where we're going to take the gentler options. Sometimes it's good just to back off and be a little bit gentler, a little bit kinder, to bring some love into our own lives. And then with that, we're able to love others better. So taking some of these different options, even if you know you can take things deeper or to a further edge, it's always nice to kind of come back so that we don't even have to worry about taking different options. So coming to a comfortable seated position, taking a few moments just to breathe. So maybe closing the eyes for a moment and feeling the body relax. So if the shoulders are coming up by the ears, letting them drop heavy, softening in the forehead. We tend to scrunch up there and hold a lot there. Even softening in the jaw. We clench there a lot too. A lot of us grind our teeth at night. I'm one of those people. So just finding some softness there. And then just quickly doing a body scan, looking down through the spine, into the arms, the back, the hips, the legs. Just seeing if anything needs some extra love. Just a little bit extra attention. Being mindful of that as we're moving together today. Very gently opening the eyes. Beginning to find some movement in the spine. Inhale, arms reach up. And that just encourages us to reach up through the spine. Sometimes we slouch down. So really reaching, imagining there's a string pulling from the very crown of your head up towards the ceiling. And then on your exhale, palms come together, down through heart center. So imagining as these hands are coming down that it's lifting us up. We're going to take 2 more of those. Inhale, arms reach up overhead. And exhale, hands heart center. Beginning to match movement with breath. Inhale, lengthen as you reach up. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Inhale, arms reach back up overhead, but this time we're going to find a side bend. Left palm comes down, right palm reaches up and over. We're keeping length in the right side body, but even length in the left side body, so a tiny lift with the left palm. And if you feel yourself rocking over to the left hip, can you encourage the right knee and the right hip to relax down, so you can get a good stretch on both sides. Inhale, come back to center, get tall. And exhale, right palm down, left arm reaches up and over, tiny lift in the right palm, relaxing down through the left hip, left knee. We're going to do that both sides one more time. Inhale, center. Exhale, plant and reach over to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, plant and reach over to the right. Inhale, back to center. This time we're going to find a twist. Left hand comes behind, right hand crosses to the opposite thigh, allowing the hips to move with the spine. So you might feel the right knee, the right hip going forward just a little bit. And with this twist, instead of pressing into it, can we be gentle here? Relaxing, letting go, feeling that twist, very center of the belly, center of the spine. Inhale, come back to center, other side. Right palm comes behind you, left hand crosses, allowing the left knee, left hip to travel forward if it wants to. So we're not pressing it forward, but if it moves naturally with the spine, allow that natural movement. One more time, both sides. Inhale, center. Exhale, plant and release over to the left. Inhale, center. Exhale, plant and release over to the right. Inhale, come back to center. And exhale, palms are going to come down in front of you, making your way to child's pose. Toes touching, knees apart. Tailbone reaches back towards the heels. Taking it very slow here, allowing the muscles to lengthen and relax. You might come down to forearms. You might come down to the forehead. Completely up to you. Might feel good to wiggle here. But just melting down into the mat, feeling that length in the low back, in the top of the hips and the SI joints. Again, any of these postures where we're just warming up the body, we're not pressing, we're just finding some gentle movement. Then on your next inhale, coming back up to table, checking in with the wrists. Knees are going to come in underneath under hips first. And then if the wrists are talking a little bit, maybe you come up onto the fists. That might be more comfortable, it might not. It might be more comfortable just to stay on the wrist, but finding some motion between cat and cow. Inhale to cow. Lift the hips, lift the crown, back bend. Exhale to cat. Spine reaches up towards the ceiling. Press into your mat. Taking a few more of those. Inhaling to cow. Exhaling to cat. Maybe one more set. And being gentle here. We're not going to the very edge, so we're not going all the way, but just finding some gentle movement. And then coming back to our neutral spine, pressing into the mat, finding engagement in the shoulders. Core pulls in, tuck the toes. Very gentle. Lift the knees up. And exhale, press the hips back. Find some movement here. Just warming up the hamstrings, the backside of the body. We're not going to stay here too long. We're going to move through 3 sets of sun salutation, but we're going to take the gentler option here. Deep bend in the knees, look between the hands, walk your feet to the top of your mat, keeping a soft bend in the knees. Maybe those hands come up a little bit, and that's okay. Inhale, halfway lift, lengthen, reaching forward through the crown, back through the hips, shoulders roll back. Exhale, melt back down. Engage the glutes, core pulls in, inhale, come up. And exhale, hands down through heart center. Keep moving with the breath. Inhale, lengthen. Exhale, bow from the hips all the way down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach back down. Don't worry if the hands reach or not. So if you have shorter hands, that's okay if those hands need to stop at the shins or they're just kind of floating above. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach back down. Deep bend in your knees. Plant your hands. Step your knees back. They're stacked underneath the hips, and then we're going to step the knees back even further, top of your plank. So this is a tricky one. A lot of people, they're like, no, I can do plank. Well, you know what? Plank on the knees is still plank. So maybe take that different option. You might feel some different engagement. With your next exhale, bend the elbows, hug them into the side. Slow lower all the way to the belly. Inhale, drag forward, lift up. Little cobra. Exhale, melt back down. Inhale, press up, table. Stack it up. Shoulders over wrists, knees underneath the hips, tuck the toes, hips up and back. Down dog. We're going to do that 2 more times. Soften the knees, look between the hands. Walk the feet to the top of the mat. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach back down. Inhale, come back up to standing. Are you using the legs and the core to lift? And exhale, hands down through heart center. Keep moving. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, bow from the hips. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach back down. Deep bend in your knees. Plant your hands. Step your knees back to your plank. We're taking that slow lower again, all the way to the belly. Inhale, drag forward. Lift up. Exhale, melt back down. Inhale, come back to table. Core's engaged, arms engaged, tuck the toes, hips up and back. Down dog. You guys are doing awesome. Are you struggling with taking the gentler options? Is it part of your nature? You're going, oh, this is not quite hardcore enough. Can you let that go? I know that's hard for me too sometimes. 3rd time, here we go. Soften the knees, look between the hands. Walk the feet to the top of the mat. Exhale, melt down. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, reach back down. Lift with the legs and the core. And exhale, hands down through heart center. 1 more time. Inhale, get tall. Exhale, bow. Inhale halfway. Exhale, reach back down. Deep bend in the knees, plant the hands, step those knees back to plank. This time we're gonna hold for a moment, really feeling the arms engaged, shoulders are down. They're sneaking up by the ears. Can you get them down? If the core or the hips have dropped, can you lift them up so you got this big long diagonal? Then with your next exhale, all the way down to the belly. Inhale, drag forward, lift up. Exhale, melt back down. Inhale, come back, table. Tuck your toes, hips up and back. Down dog. Beautiful, guys. All right, we're gonna take a little bit of different movement this time. This time, right leg's gonna lift. Three-legged dog, encouraging the right hip to roll down. If it's rolled, open to the side. Bend your right knee, come up on your left toes, step or walk your right foot through between your hands. Squeeze those inner thighs together, core pulls in, inhale, come up, high lunge. From here, ground into your right foot. Left foot's gonna walk or lift up, single leg Tadasana. Then with an exhale, hands come down through heart center and the left knee, left hip opens up. I'm gonna turn it to the front here. Coming into tree. So from here, we're gonna begin toe on the floor. Soften the right knee just a little bit and then grow. It was really interesting. I gave this cue in class the other day and I saw the whole class kind of go, woo. I didn't realize how much we really allow gravity and everything to kind of pull us down. So can you grow? Then from here, only two options, toe on the floor or below the knee. We're not even gonna take the option of above the knee here. Feel solid here. Can you grow? Then with your next exhale, left knee comes back in line with your hip and the left foot steps back behind you. I'm gonna turn back to the side here. You're gonna grab both of your blocks. So the right foot is forward, left foot is back. And those blocks are framing the right foot. Left hip comes forward and the right hip comes back. Left toes are turned to the upper left-hand corner. Palms go to the blocks. Now, if you bend the elbows, that's okay, but if not, you've got those blocks. It just makes extra length for the arm. Exhale, bow from the hips. You should feel this up the back side of the right leg. If it shoots up into the back, maybe come up a little bit. But allowing that melting, that letting go. So it's a passive stretch. We're not engaging muscles to force a stretch. We're letting go, releasing here. Keep breathing. On the next inhale, we're gonna come back up and remove those blocks to the side, all the way back up to our high lunge. So you might step the feet apart, left heel's reaching back. My feet are already a little sweaty, squeaking there. And then we're opening up warrior two. Left heel down, left toes out. Warrior two. Just being very gentle here. We tend to force hips here, so being gentle, but finding some engagement in the arms, reaching through the fingertips. They're active. Then straighten the right knee. Hands are gonna come to the shoulders. Noticing where your torso is. So if it's over to the corner a little bit, that's okay. Can you encourage that torso to open up to the side? From here, we're gonna exhale, right elbow down, left elbow up. So there's really no way, at least I know from my body, that I can get my right elbow to the mat. That's not really a goal. It's usually palm to the mat. But with the hands to the shoulders, I just can't do it. I take away that option of having to press and reach down to the mat. So we're being gentle here, listening to the hip, and then floating the palms open. So my left shoulder stacked on top of the right. If you find it where it's not stacked and it's more to the side, maybe you come up a little bit. So who cares where the right palm is? Doesn't have to go all the way down. We're taking the gentler options. Then coming back up, turn the right toes in. Hands are gonna come to the hips and we're grabbing those blocks again. This time we're gonna maybe turn them down just a little bit. So to number two, where they're gonna be back in line with the feet instead of way out in front. Bow from the hips all the way down, coming to the palms. You can bend those elbows if you'd like to, or you can keep the arms straight. but feeling that bend happening at the hips, taking the gaze back behind you, a little bit deeper stretch into the hamstrings, and can you encourage more of the weight to go to the toes? That'll even take that stretch even a little bit deeper here. Then we're gonna grab the blocks and we're spinning on the toes, and we're walking those blocks and spinning on the toes over to the left, coming into a low lunge. Maybe finding some movement here, lifting and lowering the hips, maybe pressing back and lifting the right heel. Breathing here. And then with your next exhale, right knee's gonna come down. I'm gonna remove those blocks, plant my palms, and toe heel my left foot back to the left and come back to my plank. Plank on the knees. With an exhale, come all the way down. Inhale, drag forward, lift up. Exhale, melt back down. Inhale, come up, table. Tuck the toes, hips up and back. Down dog. So now you're facing the back of your mat. Other side, here we go. Lift your left leg, three-legged dog. Just noticing how the left hip's doing today, if it needs to be dialed down. Bend the left knee, come up on the right toes, step or walk your left foot through between your hands. Inhale, come up, high lunge, other side. Grounding into the left foot, right foot's gonna walk up or lift up, single leg Tadasana. I'm gonna stay to the side this time. Exhale, hands come down through heart center. Right knee, right hip, open up, and the toe comes to the floor. Grow here, get super tall, soften the left knee, and then keep the toe on the floor or lift the foot below the knee. Those are the only two options we got right now. Keep breathing here, core is pulling in. Then with your next exhale, right knee comes back in line with the hip, and the right foot steps back and behind you. The heel comes down, so we're not taking a huge wide stance. We're setting up for that pyramid other side. Right toes, they're at that diagonal in the right-hand corner. Grab those blocks, turn them back up to make my arms super long, and then exhale, melting over the left leg. Right hip, encourage it forward, left hip back. So stretching out the back side of the left leg. Again, listening to this side. If the stretch is going up a little bit too far, maybe you come up a little bit. But releasing, letting go. One more breath. Then taking those blocks back to the side. Right foot's gonna step back behind you. We come back to our high lunge. And then open up with an exhale, right heel down, right toes out, warrior two, other side. So just noticing where the hips, where the torso's going. If it's going up at a diagonal, can you keep the hips at the diagonal and find that opening in the torso? So you're gonna maybe feel a twist in the center of the spine. If not, maybe that torso stays back to the corner, just being gentle here today. Then we're taking that triangle, straighten the left knee. Hands come to the shoulders. Encourage that torso to the side. So we're stacking right in the same line, shoulder with shoulder. On an exhale, left elbow down, right elbow up. Now I've got that stack already set up. Right shoulder on top of left. Different side. So again, when I feel the left hip beginning to stretch, I'm gonna stop. And then release, left palm down, right palm up. Don't worry about where the left hand is. If you need to come up a little bit, that's okay. Keep breathing here. And then coming back up, we're gonna grab those blocks again. This time we're gonna turn them all the way down. Turn the left toes in, we're coming back to the wide-legged forward fold. So walk those blocks back. Whew, that was a little hard to say. So they're in line with the feet. And then exhale, melting down. So we're taking it just a little bit deeper. You do have the option to stay with those blocks on level 2 if you'd like to. But really being gentle here. Can you transfer some of the weight to the toes? Keep breathing. And then grabbing those blocks, we're gonna turn them up to the side so we can grab them. Turning on the toes, we're going over to the right. Low lunge. Again, maybe you lift and lower the hips, press back and forth on the left heel, being very gentle here. So maybe with these gentler options, you might realize how much tension you're actually holding. Sometimes it's nice to do a really gentle flow right before bed instead of a very intense one, because that tends to, I know for me at least, if I do a very intense flow and then I try to go to sleep, I can't. My body, my mind are all worked up. So maybe taking some gentler options. Then exhale, left knee comes down. Bring those blocks over to the side, plant the palms, toe heel the right foot back to the right, top of your plank. Exhale, melt it all the way down. Inhale, drag forward, lift up, little cobra. Exhale, melt back down. We're pressing it up to table, and then bring those knees apart, touch the toes together, press it back. Child's pose. Can you let go here for a moment? Then on an inhale, come back up to your table. Right foot's going to step up between the hands, and the right foot goes over to the left. So we're setting up for our seated pigeon. Even if you know in your body that the shin can go further forward, for today, keep it close into the hip. If it's still not quite enough for you and you find yourself rocking over to the left, you can grab that block and place it underneath your right hip. And now both hips are square. We're gonna melt here, but finding some extension in that melt. Inhale, reach the spine up. Exhale, reach it forward. Coming down, forearms. That's as far as we're gonna go. Maybe taking note of what your reaction is. If you're like, oh man, I wanted to go palms all the way out. Can you allow yourself to take a gentler option? That really is the hard thing to do sometimes. Breathing here, relaxing, hips, glutes, thighs, whole thing. Then we're going to come back up to the palms, rock over to the right hip, and the left knee is going to come inside the arch of the right foot. We're setting up for a half hero here, so I'm going to grab one of my pillows and place it a little bit further back than my tailbone, so I don't want it right all the way up against, but I want to get this in the center of my back. Left hip's going to stay lifted a little bit, but making sure you're not double U sitting, turning the toes out to the side. So left toes, ankle, knee are all in a line. And then listening to the body. Hands are going to come back behind you. I want to keep both of my knees connected down. So if I come here and I've bent the elbows a little bit and that is enough, I start to maybe see the left knee lift a little bit, I can come back up and just stay seated. Or maybe I take it down onto the pillow. But that pillow's already there. I don't even have to worry about the option of going all the way down to the back. Softening here, sending that length. Oh, I feel that release into the left. And as that happens, I can even mentally feel things softening. That's where I hold a lot of my tension, is in the hips. That seems to be the same with a lot of people. My hips videos seem to get a lot of hits. Everybody's like, please do hips. That might be where you carry your tension too. So melting here, just feeling the pillow supporting you. And then very gently using the elbows or using the palms, depending on where you are, to come back up. I'm going to remove the pillow. Hands come back out in front of me. I can go back to table, or some people like to take it back to a down dog. So it's completely up to you where you want to take it. If you've taken it to down dog, come back down to table. And then together we're stepping the left foot up between the hands, toe heel the left foot to the right. We're setting up seated pigeon other side. Again, can you encourage yourself to pull that foot in close to the hip? Very gentle options here. Again, if you need to, place a block underneath the left hip to get both hip points pointing towards the front of your mat. And inhale, get tall. Exhale, keep that length, drag yourself forward. We're coming down to forearms. You can keep the palms apart. You can Interlace the fingers, make a little fist. Again, letting go here. Then on an inhale, come back up to the palms, rock over to the left hip. We're setting up half hero other side. Right knee comes to the inside, arch of the left foot. That pillow comes back behind me. Hands come back behind the glutes. You can bend the elbows and lean back a little bit. You can stay nice and tall, or coming back to your pillow, melting down, sending that length into the right psoas, the right thigh. Just noticing how the body reacts to this. Sometimes when we know we have a prop that we can go to, instead of having to go all the way to the floor, it encourages us to soften a little bit easier, physically, mentally. Taking a few breaths here. Then very gently using the elbows or the palms to lift back up. I'm going to rock over to the left hip. My right leg's going to come out and around. I'm going to remove the pillow. But I'm going to make sure I have access to one of the blocks. Left foot comes out. Soft bend in the knees. Hands come right by the hips. Can you sit super tall? So there's no pressure in the palms here. The core is lifting up. And then coming all the way back down. Bend the elbows, but keep the length in the spine. So I'm not rolling down. Keep that length. Make sure you still have access to that block. You can reach it with your hands. Once you're all the way down, we're going to come into a supported bridge. Two options. We're taking away that third one. So with the block, we can go to the lowest level or the second level, and that's as much as we're going to do today. So walking the feet in, ankles underneath the hips, knees as wide as the hips. Lift the hips and place that block either on level 1 or level 2, right underneath the pelvis. So we want to make sure that it's not on flesh. It's on the bone, it's supporting the structure. And then coming into my supported bridge, there's a teeny tiny bit of engagement still, because sometimes we have the tendency to let those knees open up. We want to keep them in line with the hips. So very, very tiny engagement to keep the knees in line with the hips, but everything else is just softening. So even here, can you let the belly soften? Can you let the heart soften? Couple of breaths here. Maybe taking some gentle movement through the cervical spine, rocking the head from one side to the other. Then on your next inhale, press into the heels, lift the hips, remove that block, and coming all the way down to the back. I'm going to remove my mic pack so I'm not laying on it here. So if you're wearing a mic pack too, remove that to the side. Left leg goes long, bend your right knee. But the right knee is only going over the hip, so we're not pulling it all the way in. It's going to stay stacked over the hip. Right palm opens to the side, left hand goes to the right knee. Exhale, belly twist, right knee to the left. Walk your left hip underneath you. I love to give this cue because a lot of times it's not cued and then it ends up being a hip twist when we really want to get that twist in the belly. So I'm stacking right hip on top of left. And then keeping that gentle bend in the knee. If you need to, maybe you take your block, you can turn it up as high as you need to and place that knee right on top of the block if it feels like it's a little bit too intense hanging in space, or the bottom of the foot can come down for some support too. Just keeping that gaze straight up and encouraging the right shoulder to relax down. Sometimes you'll see people begin to turn and then you're just laying on your side. It's not a belly twist. One more breath here. Then on an inhale, come back to center and we're switching sides. Right leg goes long, left knee is bent. Left palm out to the side, stacking left knee over the hip, right hand to the left knee. On an exhale, left knee goes to the right, right hip goes underneath you. Finding that belly twist other side. Again, if you need to place a block underneath the knee. We're keeping the gaze up and encouraging the left shoulder to melt. So if it's turned up towards the ceiling, that might show that you're really tense in those shoulders. Can you just let it roll back and down? Then on an inhale, we're coming back to center, and we're gonna get real cozy. And then lowering yourself down, making any adjustments that you need to, getting the pillow underneath, right underneath the knees, and the pillow behind the head, underneath the neck. Sometimes we put it just here, and then we're not supporting the head. So up underneath the neck, so all the way up to the shoulders. And then cozying in for a moment. Maybe bringing those hands to the belly, or bringing those hands to the heart, or they can even stay by the sides. Big inhale. I think I'm covering up my mic here. And exhale. Closing the eyes, softening here. Bringing to mind some things that you're thankful for in your body. We can be so harsh with ourselves. So just bringing that little bit of extra love. We're not being selfish here. We're not saying, oh, I'm perfect. But maybe just flipping that switch instead of always concentrating on the things we don't like about ourselves. Can we bring to mind something we do like? Because when we begin that with ourselves, then we begin to do that with others too, instead of always being judgmental and looking at others and, oh, they did this wrong, or don't like this about that person. Looking at them with some more loving eyes. The things that you do like about them. You can stay here for as long as you like. Maybe you turn on some music. But whenever you're ready, very gently opening the eyes, finding some movement maybe in the toes or fingers. Removing the support underneath the knees and removing the blanket. Oh, I'm so cold. And then very gently rolling over to one side or the other and using the palm to press yourself back up. So thank you so much for joining me today on this Valentine's yoga flow, just taking some gentler options. Sometimes it's just nice to not even have to worry about taking it any further. So sealing in our time together, inhale, arms reach up, get super tall, and exhale, hands down through heart center. Thank you so much for letting me be a part of your practice. Blessings and namaste.